Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of the greatest mysteries of all time, the fate of the lost tribes of Israel. What really happened to these ancient tribes after their disappearance? Were they completely lost to history, or have they survived, hidden in plain sight among the nations? In this video, we'll explore fascinating clues from the Bible, dig into archaeological discoveries, unravel ancient legends, and examine genetic evidence that might just reveal where these tribes ended up. We'll take you on a journey from the deserts of the Middle East to the mountains of India, the plains of Africa, and even the remote corners of China. This is a story that spans continents, cultures, and thousands of years. But there's more to this mystery than just history. The story of the lost tribes is a spiritual journey, a tale of God's promises, hope, and a powerful message of restoration that's relevant for all of us today. Stay with us until the end as we uncover the shocking evidence and reveal whether the lost tribes have been found. You won't want to miss a single moment of this eye-opening investigation. Before we get started, make sure to hit the like button if you're excited about today's topic. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into biblical mysteries and spiritual truths. And if you find this video interesting, share it with friends and family. Let's spread the word and solve this mystery together. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below. Could the lost tribes be among us today? Let us know what you think, and let's get started on this incredible journey. The story of the 12 tribes of Israel begins with the patriarch Jacob, the grandson of Abraham and son of Isaac. Jacob's life was marked by significant events, including his famous dream of a ladder reaching to heaven, Genesis chapter 28 verses 10 to 22, and his struggle with an angel at Peniel, where God renamed him Israel, meaning he struggles with God. Genesis chapter 32 verse 28. This name change was significant because it marked a turning point in Jacob's life, symbolizing his transformation and the beginning of the nation that would carry his new name. Jacob had 12 sons: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, and Benjamin. Genesis chapter 35 verses 22 to 26. Each son became the ancestor of one of the tribes of Israel. Together, these tribes formed the backbone of the nation of Israel. They were united under leaders like Moses and Joshua during the wilderness wanderings and the conquest of Canaan. The period of the Judges saw the tribes functioning as a loose confederation, with leaders like Deborah, Gideon, and Samson rising up to deliver Israel from its enemies. However, the real turning point came with the establishment of the monarchy. Under King Saul, from the tribe of Benjamin, the tribes began to unite. The unity was strengthened under King David and reached its peak under his son, King Solomon, who built the temple in Jerusalem, making it the spiritual center for all tribes. After Solomon's death, around 930 BC, the kingdom faced internal strife, leading to a dramatic split: the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom. The southern kingdom, this kingdom included the tribes of Judah and Benjamin, with Jerusalem as its capital. It retained its allegiance to David's lineage, emphasizing worship at the temple. The northern kingdom, consisting of the remaining 10 tribes, the northern kingdom was led by Jeroboam, who introduced idolatry to prevent his people from returning to Jerusalem for worship and disobedience to God, leading to a tragic fate. But what exactly happened to these tribes? Are they truly lost, or is there more to the story? The disappearance of the 10 tribes of Israel is one of the most intriguing and debated episodes in biblical history. It begins with the rise of the mighty Assyrian Empire, one of the most powerful and ruthless empires of the ancient world. The Assyrians, known for their military prowess and advanced siege tactics, posed a significant threat to the surrounding nations, including the northern kingdom of Israel. In the 8th century BC, the northern kingdom was plagued by internal strife and idolatry, ignoring the warnings of prophets like Hosea and Amos, who repeatedly called the people to repentance. Instead, the kingdom continued its practices of idol worship, including the worship of golden calves at Bethel and Dan, directly violating God's commandments. 1 Kings chapter 12 verses 28 to 30. This spiritual rebellion weakened Israel both morally and politically, making it vulnerable to external threats. In 2 Kings chapter 15 verse 29, we see the first wave of Assyrian invasions under Tiglath-Pileser III. He captured several cities including Ijon, Abel-Beth-Maachah, Janoah, Kadesh, and Hazor, and deported their inhabitants to Assyria. However, the final and most devastating blow came in 722 BC, when the Assyrian king Shalmaneser I laid siege to the capital city of Samaria. After a prolonged siege, the city fell, and the northern kingdom was effectively destroyed. 2 Kings chapter 17 verses 5 to 6. The Bible records in 2 Kings chapter 17 verse 6 that the Israelites were taken captive and resettled in the regions of Halah, Gozan on the Habor River, and the cities of the Medes. This event marked the beginning of the Assyrian exile, a tragic moment in the history of the 10 tribes. The Assyrians employed a deliberate policy of population displacement, designed to break the spirit of conquered nations and prevent uprisings. They would deport entire populations from their homelands and scatter them across the vast territories of the empire. In their place, the Assyrians would bring in foreign settlers, creating a mixed population that lacked a unified cultural identity. This strategy served two purposes. Number one, cultural assimilation, by removing the Israelites from their land and resettling them in foreign regions. The Assyrians hoped to erase their distinct cultural and religious practices, forcing them to assimilate into the Assyrian way of life. Number two, preventing rebellion. A displaced population was less likely to rebel against the empire. The Israelites, separated from their homeland and scattered across different regions, would find it difficult to unite and resist their captors. This tactic proved devastating for the 10 tribes, as they were cut off from their roots, their land, and their traditional way of life. Many historians and biblical scholars believe this is when the 10 tribes became lost, their identity gradually dissolving into the surrounding cultures. The question is, are the tribes truly lost? Over the centuries, various theories have emerged regarding the whereabouts of the lost tribes. One of the most enduring legends is the idea that they migrated to distant lands. Some say they traveled east, blending into the cultures of Persia, India, and China. Others suggest they moved westward, possibly influencing European and African civilizations. Some researchers believe that certain groups, like the Pashtuns in Afghanistan, the Igbo in Nigeria, or the Bnei Menashe in India, might be descendants of the lost tribes. Genetic studies have shown some connections between these groups and the Middle Eastern gene pool, but the evidence remains inconclusive. Now, let's explore deeper into the archaeological discoveries, evidence of the lost tribes. The search for evidence of the lost tribes of Israel has led archaeologists and historians across the ancient world, from the deserts of the Middle East to the mountains of Central Asia. While definitive proof of their fate remains elusive, numerous archaeological discoveries have provided intriguing clues that support the biblical narrative and offer insights into what might have happened to these exiled tribes. Number 1. Ancient Hebrew inscriptions in Iraq and Iran. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence comes from ancient Hebrew inscriptions found in regions corresponding to modern-day Iraq and Iran, which were part of the Assyrian and Babylonian empires. These inscriptions, dating back to the 8th and 7th centuries before Christ, indicate the presence of Israelite communities long after the Assyrian exile. Archaeologists have uncovered clay tablets and pottery fragments with Hebrew names and inscriptions, suggesting that Israelite families settled and maintained some aspects of their identity. For example, in the ruins of Nineveh and Nimrud, both major cities of the Assyrian Empire, inscriptions containing Hebrew names like Shemaiah and Yair have been found. These names are distinctly Israelite and point to the continued presence of Israelites in the heart of the Assyrian territory. The Bible mentions that some Israelites were resettled in the cities of the Medes, 2 Kings, chapter 17, verse 6. Excavations in the region of Media, located in present-day northwestern Iran, have revealed remnants of pottery with Hebrew inscriptions, indicating a possible Israelite presence. These findings align with Assyrian records that describe the forced relocation of conquered peoples, including Israelites, to these distant provinces. Number 2. Assyrian tablets, confirming the deportation of the tribes. In 2010, a significant discovery was made when a team of archaeologists unearthed a collection of Assyrian tablets in northern Iraq. These tablets, dating back to the reigns of Tiglath-Pileser III, Shalmaneser IV, and Sargon II, provide detailed records of the Assyrian conquests and the subsequent deportation of various peoples, including the Israelites. Among these findings were the Nimrud tablets, which contain administrative records listing the names of deported Israelites and their new settlements within the Assyrian Empire. The tablets refer to the Israelites as captives from Samaria, confirming the biblical account of the fall of the northern kingdom and the relocation of its inhabitants. The records detail how the Israelites were assigned to labor projects, including construction and agriculture, in regions such as Hala and along the Habor River. The inscriptions of Sargon II, who completed the conquest of Samaria, boast of the deportation of over 27,000 Israelites. These inscriptions, found on the walls of the palace at Khorsabad, describe the resettlement of the Israelites in distant parts of the empire. Sargon II's records provide valuable corroboration of the events described in 2 Kings chapter 17, offering a rare glimpse into the fate of the exiled tribes. Number 3. The Samaritan ostraka, evidence of Israelite remnants in Samaria. While many Israelites were deported, some may have remained in the land and intermingled with foreign settlers brought in by the Assyrians. Archaeological evidence supporting this theory includes the discovery of the Samaritan ostraka, a collection of ancient pottery shards inscribed with economic records from the 8th century BC. The ostraka, found at sites like Samaria and Shechem, list Hebrew names and transactions involving grain, oil, and wine. The use of Hebrew script and names suggests that a remnant of the Israelite population remained in the region even after the Assyrian conquest. These Israelites likely intermarried with the new settlers, giving rise to the Samaritan community, which is mentioned in the New Testament. The Samaritans, who consider themselves descendants of the tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh, have preserved their own version of the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Bible. The discovery of the Samaritan ostraka provides tangible evidence that the cultural and religious practices of the Israelites persisted in the region, even as their identity was transformed by the Assyrian exile and the influx of foreign settlers. Number 4. The tomb of the prophet Nahum in Al-Kosh, Iraq. Another fascinating piece of evidence comes from the tomb of the prophet Nahum, located in the village of Al-Kosh in northern Iraq. Nahum, who prophesied against the Assyrian capital of Nineveh, was a contemporary of the Assyrian exile. The tomb's location in a historically Jewish village suggests that a community of Israelites may have settled there, possibly descendants of those exiled by the Assyrians. The Jewish community in Al-Kosh, which existed until the mid-20th century, maintained that they were descendants of the exiled tribes. The existence of this ancient Jewish site in the heart of former Assyrian territory lends credence to the idea that some Israelites remained in the region, preserving their traditions for centuries. Number 5. The Elephantine Papyri, a Jewish settlement in Egypt. The Elephantine Papyri, discovered on Elephantine Island in Egypt, provide evidence of a Jewish community that existed as early as the 5th century BC. While these documents primarily reflect the life of Jews from the southern kingdom of Judah, some scholars suggest that remnants of the northern tribes may have joined them, especially as they fled Assyrian and later Babylonian invasions. The papyri reveal that the Jewish community on Elephantine had its own temple, where they worshipped the God of Israel. This temple was similar in some respects to the one in Jerusalem, suggesting a continuity of Israelite religious practices. It is possible that members of the exiled northern tribes who sought refuge in Egypt contributed to this unique Jewish community. Number 6. The Seal of Shema, an Israelite official in exile. One of the most remarkable discoveries is the Seal of Shema, an ancient stamp seal found in an Assyrian excavation site. The seal, inscribed with the name Shema, servant of Jeroboam, is believed to belong to an Israelite official who served under Jeroboam II, one of the last kings of the northern kingdom. The presence of this seal in an Assyrian context suggests that high-ranking Israelite officials were taken into captivity and possibly employed within the Assyrian administrative system. It provides evidence of the displacement of Israel's elite and hints at the broader dispersion of the Israelite population. The quest to locate the lost tribes of Israel has not only captured the imagination of historians and archaeologists, but has also become a focus of modern genetic research and ethnographic studies. In recent decades, various groups around the world have come forward with claims of descent from the lost tribes, sparking renewed interest in the mystery. While some of these claims are rooted in ancient traditions, others are supported by emerging genetic evidence, yet the debate remains far from settled. Number 1. The Beta Israel of Ethiopia, descendants of the tribe of Dan. One of the most well-known groups claiming descent from the lost tribes is the Beta Israel House of Israel community of Ethiopia. The Beta Israel, also known as the Ethiopian Jews, have long maintained that they are descendants of the tribe of Dan, one of the 10 northern tribes exiled by the Assyrians. The oral traditions of the Beta Israel trace their origins back to King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, suggesting that Jewish presence in Ethiopia dates back to the biblical era. Their religious practices, which include observing the Sabbath, dietary laws, and circumcision, are reminiscent of ancient Israelite customs. The Beta Israel also maintain their own version of the Torah, written in Ge'ez, an ancient Ethiopian script, which further supports their claim of a distinct Jewish heritage. In the late 20th century, the Israeli government, recognizing the Beta Israel as part of the Jewish diaspora, facilitated their immigration to Israel through Operation Moses 1984 and Operation Solomon 1991. These operations brought tens of thousands of Ethiopian Jews to Israel, fulfilling what many see as a modern-day prophetic regathering. However, the authenticity of their claim has been a topic of debate, with some religious authorities questioning the exact origins of the Beta Israel. DNA studies on the Beta Israel have shown mixed results. While some genetic markers indicate a possible Middle Eastern origin, others suggest significant intermingling with local African populations. Despite the inconclusive evidence, the Beta Israel have been embraced by the broader Jewish community, and their presence in Israel is seen by many as a step toward the fulfillment of the prophecy of the regathering of the tribes. Number 2. The Lemba people of Zimbabwe and South Africa, a Semitic link? The Lemba people of Zimbabwe and South Africa present one of the most intriguing cases in the search for the lost tribes. The Lemba, who are primarily Bantu-speaking, claim to be descendants of Jewish traders who settled in Africa centuries ago. According to their oral traditions, they trace their lineage back to ancient Israel, specifically the tribe of Levi. The Lemba observe several customs that are distinctly Jewish, including circumcision, the kosher dietary laws, they do not eat pork, and the ritual slaughter of animals. They also have a tradition of wearing the Star of David and claim to have brought a sacred object resembling the Ark of the Covenant to Africa. Genetic testing conducted in the late 20th and early 21st centuries revealed that a significant portion of Lemba men, particularly those from the Buba clan, the priestly clan, carry the Cohen modal haplotype CMH. This genetic marker is associated with the Kohanim, the Jewish priestly class traditionally believed to be descendants of Aaron, the brother of Moses. The presence of the CMH among the Lemba provides strong evidence of a Semitic ancestry, supporting their claim of descent from ancient Israelites, possibly the tribe of Levi. While the genetic evidence is compelling, the exact origins of the Lemba remain debated. Some researchers argue that the Lemba's Jewish customs could have been adopted through interactions with Arab or Jewish traders rather than direct descent from the lost tribes. Nevertheless, the Lemba's case remains one of the most convincing examples of a community with potential Israelite roots. Number 3. The Bnei Menashe of India, the tribe of Manasseh. The Bnei Menashe, a group from the northeastern states of India, Manipur and Mizoram, claim descent from the tribe of Manasseh, one of the 2 sons of Joseph. Their traditions and religious practices bear a striking resemblance to those of ancient Israel, The Bnei Menashe believe that their ancestors were exiled from Israel by the Assyrians and eventually migrated through Persia, Afghanistan, Tibet, and China before settling in India. Their customs include observing the Sabbath, celebrating Jewish festivals such as Passover, and following kosher dietary laws. The Bnei Menashe also have a tradition of reciting a song that recounts their journey from the land of Israel, which they claim was passed down through generations. In 2005, the Israeli chief rabbinate formally recognized the Bnei Menashe as descendants of Israel, allowing them to make Aliyah, immigrate to Israel, under the law of return. Thousands of Bnei Menashe have since moved to Israel, where they have undergone a process of conversion and integration into the Jewish community. Genetic studies on the Bnei Menashe have yielded inconclusive results. While there are indications of Middle Eastern genetic markers, the majority of their DNA aligns with local Indian populations. Despite this, their cultural and religious practices, combined with their strong oral traditions, have led many to accept their claim of descent from the tribe of Manasseh. Number 4. The Pashtuns of Afghanistan and Pakistan, lost tribe or cultural myth. The Pashtuns, also known as Pathans, are a large ethnic group in Afghanistan and Pakistan who have long claimed to be descended from the lost tribes of Israel, particularly the tribe of Ephraim. The Pashtuns observe a set of customs known as the Pashtunwali, which bear similarities to ancient Israelite laws. These include circumcision on the 8th day, a tradition of hospitality, and a strict code of honor. Many Pashtun tribes have names that resemble those of the lost tribes, such as the Yusufzai, sons of Joseph. Despite the strong oral traditions connecting them to the lost tribes, genetic testing of the Pashtuns has shown little evidence of direct Israelite ancestry. Most genetic markers indicate a South Asian origin, suggesting that any Israelite influence may have been cultural rather than genetic. Nonetheless, the Pashtun claim remains a topic of fascination, especially among researchers studying ancient migration patterns. Number 5. Genetic research, a double-edged sword. In the modern search for the lost tribes, DNA testing has become a valuable tool. Geneticists have conducted studies on various groups claiming Israelite descent, looking for markers associated with the ancient Jewish population. While some results have been promising, the evidence is often mixed and subject to interpretation. In some cases, genetic testing has revealed markers consistent with a Middle Eastern origin, supporting the idea that these groups may have ancient Israelite roots. However, the complexity of human migration and intermarriage over thousands of years makes it difficult to draw definitive conclusions. One of the main challenges in using genetic evidence is distinguishing between ancient Israelite ancestry and later Jewish or Semitic influences. Many groups that claim descent from the lost tribes may have adopted Jewish customs and intermarried with Jewish or Semitic populations during their migrations, complicating the genetic picture. The modern search for the lost tribes of Israel is a story of cultural preservation, faith, and scientific inquiry. While the evidence remains inconclusive, the claims of groups like the Beta Israel, Lemba, Bnei Menashe, and Pashtuns provide intriguing possibilities that cannot be easily dismissed. The renewed interest in these communities, fueled by advances in DNA testing and historical research, suggests that the mystery of the lost tribes may be closer to being solved than ever before. As new discoveries are made and more communities come forward, the search continues. Will the lost tribes be found, and will their descendants be fully restored to the people of Israel? Only time will tell, but the ongoing quest serves as a powerful reminder of the enduring legacy of the ancient Israelites and their place in the unfolding story of history. The question of whether the lost tribes of Israel will be restored is not just a matter of historical curiosity, it's also deeply intertwined with biblical prophecy and eschatology. Throughout the scriptures, God makes promises about the future of his people, including the return of the scattered tribes and the restoration of Israel as a united nation. These prophecies have been a source of hope and inspiration for centuries, particularly among Jewish and Christian believers who see them as evidence of God's enduring covenant with Israel. One of the most compelling prophecies regarding the return of the lost tribes is found in Ezekiel chapter 37 verses 21 to 22. Here, God declares through the prophet Ezekiel, "I will take the Israelites out of the nations where they have gone. I will gather them from all around and bring them back into their own land. I will make them one nation in the land, on the mountains of Israel. There will be one king over all of them, and they will never again be two nations or be divided into two kingdoms." This passage is significant because it directly addresses the division of the tribes following the split of the United Kingdom into the northern kingdom Israel and the southern kingdom Judah after the death of Solomon. The prophecy speaks of a time when this division will be healed, and all the tribes will be reunited as one people under one king, often interpreted as the Messianic king, a descendant of David. The prophet Isaiah also speaks extensively about the future gathering of Israel. In Isaiah chapter 11 verses 11 to 12, it is written, "In that day the Lord will reach out his hand a second time to reclaim the remnant that is left of his people from Assyria, from Egypt, from Pathros, from Cush, from Elam, from Shinar, from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. He will raise a banner for the nations and gather the exiles of Israel. He will assemble the scattered people of Judah from the four corners of the earth." This prophecy highlights several key elements. The mention of a second time suggests that this gathering will be different from the first return of the Jews from Babylonian exile. It implies a more comprehensive regathering of all Israelites, including the lost tribes, from every corner of the earth. Isaiah lists various regions, both near and far, indicating the widespread dispersion of the Israelites. The phrase, "the islands of the sea," suggests distant, unknown lands, reinforcing the idea that the tribes have been scattered far beyond the borders of the ancient Near East. The prophecy states that God will raise a banner for the nations, symbolizing a public and unmistakable call for the return of his people. This aspect has led many to believe that the regathering of the tribes will be a visible and miraculous event, demonstrating God's sovereignty to the entire world. The belief that the lost tribes will be restored before the coming of the Messiah is a central theme in both Jewish and Christian eschatology. In the New Testament, Jesus alludes to the restoration of Israel when he speaks of the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Matthew chapter 15 verse 24. This statement is interpreted by some as a reference to the spiritual mission of reuniting and redeeming all the tribes, not just those who remained in the land of Judah. In the book of Revelation, the vision of the 144,000 sealed servants of God, Revelation chapter 7 verses 4 to 8, includes representatives from each of the 12 tribes of Israel. This vision is often understood as a symbolic representation of the restoration and spiritual renewal of all the tribes. It suggests that, in the end times, the full complement of Israel will be recognized and will play a significant role in God's plan for humanity. Many believe that the establishment of the modern state of Israel in 1948 was the beginning of the fulfillment of these ancient prophecies. After nearly 2,000 years of exile, Jews from around the world began returning to their ancestral homeland, a process known as Aliyah. This unprecedented migration was seen by many as a miraculous event, a sign that God was beginning to gather his people from the diaspora. The return of Jews from regions as diverse as Europe, North Africa, Ethiopia, and the Middle East has been viewed as a precursor to the eventual regathering of all 12 tribes, including the lost tribes. The immigration of groups like the Beta Israel Ethiopian Jews and the Bnei Menashe from India has been particularly significant, as they claim descent from specific Israelite tribes, suggesting that the process of restoration may already be underway. The restoration of the lost tribes is seen by many as a key event that will occur in the end times, coinciding with the coming of the Messiah. In Jeremiah chapter 31 verses 8 to 10, God declares, "See, I will bring them from the land of the north and gather them from the ends of the earth. Among them will be the blind and the lame, expectant mothers and women in labor. A great throng will return. They will come with weeping. They will pray as I bring them back. I will lead them beside streams of water, on a level path, where they will not stumble." This imagery of a joyous return highlights the compassionate nature of God's plan for his people. It speaks of a time of healing, reconciliation, and the fulfillment of God's promises. The prophecies of Ezekiel, Isaiah, and Jeremiah continue to fuel interest and hope among scholars and believers. Whether viewed through the lens of archaeology, genetics, or divine providence, the search for the lost tribes remains a powerful reminder of God's unchanging covenant with Israel and his promise to restore his people. As we look to the future, the question remains, are we witnessing the first stages of this prophetic fulfillment? Will the scattered descendants of the 10 tribes be found and brought back to their ancestral home? Only time will tell, but the scriptures assure us that God's plan for the restoration of Israel is certain and will be revealed in his appointed time. So, have the lost tribes been found? The answer is not entirely clear. While there are many intriguing clues and possible connections, the mystery is far from solved. Perhaps the true answer lies not in physical evidence alone, but in the unfolding of God's divine plan, as prophesied in the Bible. What do you think? Are the lost tribes still out there, waiting to be rediscovered? Or have they already been found, hidden in plain sight among the nations? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more explorations of biblical mysteries and truths. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.